Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about the literary element of style. So, what is style? Well, an author's style encompasses tone, so diction and syntax. If you'd like to know more about what those are, take a look at the video about tone. It also ends up encompassing figurative language, things like metaphor and symbolism. Symbolism in this is the one that we're going to mainly focus on in this video, largely because that's the one that's really contributes most to our understanding of the readings that we're doing. So let's talk a little bit about symbolism. So, symbolism is when an author or a piece of literature says one thing but means another, right? The thing to remember about symbolism is that usually the other thing is something larger than what it is that the symbol is, right? So, something that is an abstract idea or a principle, right? Some grand thing as opposed to the symbol that it is that represents it. So, for example, right, we see the American flag. What is the American flag? Well, it is a piece of fabric, right? Really, when you boil it down, it's a piece of fabric with a design on it. But as a symbol, it symbolizes the unified country of the United States and the national pride of the people who reside in the United States, right? So we have this piece of fabric with a design on it that also acts as this symbol of a unified country. Okay, so it does both of those things simultaneously. Now, another symbol, right, that you would typically see in literature is the symbol of sleep or darkness or night, right? Each of these things can also symbolize death, right? If you want to think about it like in those funny movies, a lot of times, you know, I think Shrek has one, has an instance of this. But basically, the idea of don't go to the light, right? That essentially means don't die. That's a symbol, right? So, you want to think about things in terms of how we react to them in our lives, right? Because that helps you kind of put two and two together as to what is a symbol and what that symbol could mean. Um, but you also want to think in terms of the context of the time period as well, because we may miss out on some symbols that we're just not aware of because of a different interaction with similar ideas. Okay? Now, some of you might ask, well, if a symbol can mean so many different things, like death is, symbolized by sleep and darkness or night, and this idea of the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, how do we know how to interpret it? Well, it's all about the context. Okay, that's the biggest thing. You want to think, well, what is this work of literature talking about? What have we been reading? What's happening in these characters' lives? What's happening in this poem, right? What types of feelings are being evoked? Right? All of these thoughts go into what is symbolism. Now, you also want to think, okay, how do these actions and things that are present in this piece of literature, how do they reflect upon the world more generally? Okay? And that's how you'll come to determine what's a symbol and how is that symbol used. So, I want you to remember when it comes to symbolism that nothing is concrete. Okay? By definition, a symbol is something that is abstract. Okay? It's something that is unattainable. Right? We don't understand death and springtime as like we can't hold springtime. Right? We know what springtime is, but it's not something that we can hold, right? And so nothing about symbolism is concrete. Perhaps the symbol itself, like whatever object is the symbol, is concrete, but not the thing that it's symbolizing. Okay? So, what do I mean when I say concrete here? I mean, if we're talking about a tree, it is the legitimate object of a tree. Now, I would argue and say that if there's a tree in a piece of literature, we need to know more about this tree, right? Because this tree could very well be a symbol. I'll never forget it. I was in 10th grade English class, and a girl in my class raised her hand and said, what if the reason that I can't even remember what we were reading, perhaps it might have been To Kill a Mockingbird. She said, what if the reason that there's a tree in this scene is because there was a tree outside the author's window? Well, my teacher put on the dirtiest look and she looked at this girl and she goes, well, then they're not a very good author, are they? Now, I know I was taken aback by that. My first thought was like, whoa, harsh. Um, but then, when you think about it further, right, if you have the opportunity as a writer to utilize a symbol to show something to the reader, then you can't take advantage of it, or you can't lose that opportunity to take advantage of it. So, if there's a tree, and there's a description of the tree, we need to know, what is this tree doing? Is there a limb that's tapping on the window, right? Because that would suggest that it's, kind of blustery out, right? We've got some potential mystery happening, right? Because mysterious things only happen in storms, right? No, it's just another symbol. Okay. Is the tree, is it dead? Or is it a tree whose leaves fell off because it's wintertime? Well, that would suggest that death is coming, right? Or that there's this period of barrenness. Something is going to be removed, whatever that something is, right? All right. So that wraps up our discussion about style, most specifically the element of style in terms of symbolism. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.